Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan, and joining me once again is Jonathan Saha. How you doing today, Jonathan?
Great. Good to be back. Ready for the weekend. Ready to talk about Doom.
Yeah, ready for the I work all weekend, but yes, ready to talk about Doom. If you're watching along with us, you can see the overlay was doomed out. And Jonathan is saying back again for the third time, but he was here Wednesday because we were playtesting the prototype Doom Arena board game that Modiphius was kind enough to send us. And today what we're going to be doing is doing a little review of the, and I want to stress it, the prototype of the board game. It is not the complete board game. It seems pretty far along on its stretch goals, but it is the prototype. So hoping that maybe some of the stuff we point out, someone somewhere gets something out of it, but not a whole lot of people have, I guess, this prototype box. So it's not like you out there in podcast land are gonna get that, but maybe in the future. But so it's the Doom Arena board game. I want to say once again, thanks Modiphius, thanks for sending this to us. I fucking love Doom. If you watch the playtest, you'll see the Dark Ages statue I got when I got the collector's version of that. Big Doom fan. I know that you are a Doom guy as well, Jonathan.
That's right. Yep. That's the first video game I ever played. I was much too young, and my mom was definitely furious with my dad about it, but it influenced me positively.
And I did not play Doom, the original Doom, when I was young enough to have played the original Doom. But Doom 2016 for me, and everything after that really just changed the way I thought about even ttrpgs and stuff, like the push forward mechanics that they built into it and the flow state that they have designed into the game and everything like that. I'm obsessed with it. And then of course I went back and played the originals later, but I definitely didn't get I think I would have got my ass beat if I would have even asked to play Doom as a kid. And then they would have brought me in to talk to my priest about it, my preacher. But Doom Arena board game. Let's kick over. Let's talk about it really briefly, and then we're just going to get into the review. The play test we did, it's about 2 hours long. It's probably not going to end up on YouTube or in the podcast, so if you want to watch it, check the VODs on Twitch. I left it up there as a highlight, so you can just go to twitch.tv/theweeklyscroll and watch the full playtest of it there. We got through about 4 rounds before we just kind of wrapped up and talked a little bit about that. But yeah. This is the box. This is a Doom Arena board game. I'm gonna show just some of the stuff that's in the box. We're gonna talk about the Kickstarter real quick and then get into it. Dope box. It says prototype on the front, which is cool. I love that I have this. I love this kind of shit. Prototype versions, alpha versions, some of my favorite stuff on the mini shelves behind me are these kind of things, like pre-production, pre-print stuff. So having the prototype is really cool. Some of the stuff that's in here real quick. First of all, I mean, the box itself it fucks super hard.
It's dope.
Yeah, they really obviously used a lot of the Doom art, but really captured all the way through a lot of the really cool stuff about Doom. I like that they did not try to do their take on Doom in any of this.
I was just gonna say that they knew that the art was fine on its own. They didn't try to like yassify it or anything like that. They left it alone, and I mean it's great because it's some of the best pixel art out there. It's so classic and it stands the test of time.
Yeah, I definitely, this is a side note we don't need to do, but like that's the reason DC EU failed was fucking what's his face doing his take on DC instead of just doing DC, which again Modiphius is doing great in Doom here. So what comes in the box real quick is a bunch of miniatures. Obviously it's all beat to hell because I opened it up when we played it, but you get a giant map. This one comes with 1 large map, and I think the Kickstarter says you get 2 small and 2 large, or 2 small, a medium and large, something like that. You get cards for all of the bad guys and the Doom guy. You get tokens for everything that you need tokens for. You get the dice. Remind me to talk about the dice later because I'm obsessed with the way that these dice work. I'm actually going to leave them out so I can talk about it. And then you get the minis, and the minis are actually, they're really good. I don't know if they're printed or injection molded or what they are, because, and I only say that because I don't see any areas where where supports were taken off, but I
Yeah.
also don't see any mold lines. So they either had a lot of post production off the line to get rid of all the mold lines and stuff,
Hmm.
or I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big
Yeah.
board game head, so I don't know what a lot of pieces are made out of sometimes. But
No, me neither.
um,
I would love like an upgrade in the future, or a possibility for like a pewter mold, like some
oh,
like
that'd be sick.
heavy like die cast stuff would be cool.
Well,
That would go.
just make a mold of it yourself and then
You could,
cast
yeah,
it.
yeah, bring the
Yeah.
heavy metal chest to life.
Yeah. So this is the Cyber Demon.
Hmm.
Show that guy off, and then I just want to show at least one of the Doom guys. This is the Lost Soul. Again, really nice, crisp, like extremely well detailed miniatures pieces. Definitely gonna paint the shit out of these. Especially if I'm gonna get doubled up on it now since they sent me this one. Oh, gotta show off Pinky. Um, Also, we talked about it a little bit. These guys are definitely getting a BBL with some green stuff before I paint them, because
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Pinky's quads are killing it, but his glutes aren't really doing the deed. And then where's the Doom guy?
Yeah, if these are supposed to be
Shotgunners.
sinful demons, then make them sinful, man.
Yeah, gotta get a little junk in the trunk there, Pink. Um, Here is Doom guy. All right, and that's the last one we'll kind of go over. Yeah, so that's a regular one, and then you get an enraged one too. But again, the molds are great. If I got a bunch of these, I honestly would probably like throw some Space Marine shoulder pads on and like convert this guy into and we'll see. Anyway, then it comes with a bunch of cards, like all the item cards you need for the game. Again, all the bad guy cards with pictures and all the spaces that you can put tokens directly on the cards. The cards are actually super usable for the game. So that's basically the Doom Arena board game. That's what comes in the prototype. It's dope. It's interesting. It's cool. I like it. And let me get this out of the way, and we'll talk about something else real quick. Let's
Run through the Kickstarter.
Yeah, we'll run to the Kickstarter. So that out of the way, then I can reposition my mic where I actually want it to be, and we'll look at the Kickstarter page. So again, this doesn't need our fucking help. You know, it's at 200. So it's $225,000 with 6 days left. There's over 1,000 backers. Doesn't need our fucking help. But in case you were wondering about it, I will say I was backing it already, and I'm pretty sure once we finished playing, you were like, "All right, I'm gonna go fucking back this," right?
Yeah.
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 So it's if that says anything, you know, then you're welcome, I guess, for our opinion that swayed you into spending money. But it's a Doom Arena board game. It's 2 editions of the incomparable Doom franchise. Basically, you can get a 93 version or a Doom Dark Ages version with different minis, slightly different rules, as with the same base core set for each. There's just an ass ton of minis and a bunch of add-ons stuff you can do. The PDF that we're going to be going over, you can get the rulebook PDF directly in the Kickstarter page. So if you do want to check it out, it's right there. And the Kickstarter, just like the base premium edition Kickstarter, if you want the miniatures, is like $80 basically US, 60 pounds. Or you can get a standard edition that gives you one miniature, and the rest are all standees, which is a good substitution for only $60. So you can basically save $20 by not getting the miniatures. But we'll talk about kind of the rest of it going on with that. But you know, there's so many miniatures and so many add-ons at this point that it's gonna be hard not for me to just go for the all-in pledge at $434. I'm fighting it every day.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll go over this later, but I mean, like, especially because coming out of playing the game, like any kind of like negative, any criticisms I have about it are things that like I fully expect to be ironed out in the complete version, like just as like a teaser of what comes ahead. So like, with you, I don't think I can spend $400 on it, but like I understand the sentiment where you're looking at it after you're playing it, and you're like, I could see how this would get a lot of playtime at my table.
That's the thing, and yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but the amount of expansions and things that they're adding to it, it's very much, we'll talk about it a little bit more. Let me get rid of this browser window, get out of the way, and let's pull up the actual PDF real quick. So we can get into the game a little bit. So we just introed the game. We talked about the Kickstarter. We did everything. So what is the Doom Arena board game? So this is the part of the show where I usually do a little breakdown. But honestly, this is a good document for the most part. Like, at least the content of the document is good. And they do a really good job, actually, of saying what this is, you know? So I'm just going to fucking read that. When we go to this, there's a credits page, there's a contents page, there's a table of contents, it's hyperlinked, the entire thing is bookmarked, which is great. The whole document, it's 25 pages, it's like 29 actual pages, but 25 numbered pages with all the stuff they need for the game. But there's an introduction, welcome to hell, but this is what I want to get to. Components list, blah, 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 blah. You can download the PDF. But what is this game? The Doom Arena board game is a competitive combat board game for 2 players. The players will play to the best of 3 rounds of arena combat, controlling either the Doom guy or the demonic hordes. When we play tested, Jonathan was the Doom guy, and I play the demonic hordes. The goal is to hurt your enemy as much as possible and win the most blood in each round. The player who has the most blood in 2 rounds is the overall winner of the game. So it's best of 3, and everyone can respawn. So it's just who deals the most damage, you know, who earns the most points, which is a cool way to do it. Because in Doom, none of these things ever really die, right? Like, it goes on forever and ever. In each of these rounds, each player will take 6 turns, alternating between them. In each turn, they'll get a number of activations, just 1 for the Doom guy and 3 for the demonic hordes. When a unit is activated, it can make up to 2 actions, which include moving around the board and engaging in brutal, murderous combat. At the end of each round, if neither player has declared victory, the players will upgrade their forces. The Doom guy will gain a larger arsenal of weapons and upgrades, while the demonic hordes will grow in number and attract stronger demons to fight. That's the game. Really, honestly, it's a pretty straightforward game.
Yep.
And one of the things that I really like about it, we'll get to that. So again, we play tested this already. We're going to talk, you know, as if you're going to go watch that playtest video. But let's get into a little bit of conversation, some likes and dislikes we had about playing the game and all those kind of things. So we start with the dislikes so we can do the likes second, and then into other good, so like sandwichy kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'll say my first dislike kind of with playtesting this in general, I think the PDF looks fantastic, and we'll get into that a little bit more into when we hit actual metrics, because we're kind of gonna review this like a normal episode. But the PDF itself is fucked as far as usability. It's so massive. Things take so long to load.
Give them the numbers, Ryan. Give them the numbers.
No. I'll give you the numbers when we hit the metrics.
Okay.
But my God, I would say that's the first thing. I'll say right now is that I couldn't even, like, on my break at work, I was trying to read it in Discord in my Dropbox app, and it would just crash every time I tried to scroll because it just was so massive. It was crashing the entire app. It's crazy. And then otherwise, there's just some rules clarifications. I would say the only reason we didn't finish 6 rounds is because we kept getting hung up going, this isn't quite clear. I don't understand how to play this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
I think alongside that, another dislike for me is like the organization of the rules as well. You know, not to get too nitty gritty about it, but there's definitely a couple times where you and I were learning the game. We were going through the PDF together, and we're like, oh, well, it's kind of jumping ahead of itself, or it hasn't even mentioned movement yet. Like, and I mean, that's a hard thing to tackle. But like, I do think it is a very important part of learning a board game, right? Because there's all sorts of different people coming to the table playing board games, and especially one like this, which is like generally pretty accessible. I think it could go a long ways to maybe introduce some elements earlier on, at least mention them, you know, so people might get a taste of what's coming. Like, I don't know if I got a good example off the top of my head, but there were definitely 1 or 2 times where you and I were going through, we're like, well, what's that? It hasn't mentioned this yet. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time when we review ttrpgs, and basically if you mention something and you're not going to talk about it right then, either we have one of two options really that you should do, right? There's three things you can do. One is just talk about it then, right? I think the good example is like tempo. Tempo is so far down in the document, but they bring up tempo way early, right? If you could bring up tempo, just throw tempo in there, right? The second option is to say, you can find tempo, which it does do here. You know, in the unit part, it says tempo abilities. How tempo works is on page blank blank, but that's in like the unit section. It's not really in the more rulesy section part, so it could be brought up again. You know, basically every time you mention something you're not going to talk about now, say where I can go find it. Remind me of that. Or the third option is to not do either of those things and just have people stumble through the book, right? Repetition is going to help people. If you mention it once in the unit section, mention it again in another section. Mentioning it's not hard to just read more about it on page blank blank. You know, it's a line and a half.
Yeah, and I don't think they fall into the trap of like just letting someone stumble through the rules. Like it wasn't that bad. Like this critique is a light one. You know, there were just a couple of moments where I was like, oh, what was that again? Like we haven't got there yet.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree though, but that's what we do here on the show is this, you don't have to, we can point out all that kind of stuff, you know, maybe it'll help somebody. But yeah, I completely agree there. I think it's not necessarily that it's poorly organized. I just think it's, that specific thing. Like if you mention tempo, make sure every time you mention it until you talk about it, you say where you can go find it, or that you'll hit it later, you know. And even if it is mentioned in here, I think it could be reinforced a little bit more.
I remember what I was going to say in regards to that. I knew there was a specific thing. And so this is not a huge problem, but like there are mentions of like knockback and blast and stun and stuff like that. And those things are clearly explained at the end of the PDF, which is like, so once you know where to go to find those, you're good. But like prior to that, I was like, seems like there's a lot of terms they haven't covered yet that I'm seeing on these cards. So that's why I wrote that. I remember now.
That totally makes sense. So weapon special effects is listed like all the way in the back. And I understand why it's listed in the back. And like once you read, here's the problem, right? As human beings are not always, a lot of people don't read the instruction manual. A lot of people don't read the instruction manual front to back before they do something. And the way the book is kind of laid out, we can talk about this a little bit more in usability. It's you kind of set up as you go, kind of you're following along with it. So to get some stuff way late in it, when it's kind of feels like it's designed to have you follow along with it as you're doing things, feels a little, it does feel a little bit off. I think a lot of it is just communication and direction. Find this later. And just because you say it once doesn't mean that, you know, the average reading level in the United States is like 6th grade, right? Like it's sad, but it's true. And the average voter ballot and medical education is written at 11th grade level. So remember that when you're writing your books and stuff like that. Not that
feels intentional.
I didn't mean that to you. I'm just saying just in general.
No, not at all. I'm just saying it feels like it's a system set up to trap people and to help them not understand stuff that they're voting on. Yeah.
I mean,
that's a different conversation.
Yeah. Welcome to Project 2025.
Right.
But yeah. So I think that's kind of an overview of the things we like and dislike. I think it's just tweaks. I think it's just a couple of tweaks.
Well, but we didn't talk too much about what we liked. We kind of just went into what we disliked. I'll say just generally real quick, the vibes are great of it. You know, the layout overall and the aesthetics of it is great. You know, like
listen,
we'll dig into more, but
I was gonna say we're gonna get into that and all the metrics. That's why we didn't talk about it now.
Gotcha.
But I will say I like these fucking dice. If I have to pick out one like specific that I like, let's talk about these real quick. You know what? No, I'll talk about these when we get to a rule set down at the bottom. So we can do more of the things we like and dislike.
Show. I'm just along for the ride.
So let's hop into those metrics then so we can dig in a little bit deeper into that. So art and layout is the first thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about art and layout, usability, the rule set, the originality, and vibes. Again, kind of what we do on the show a little bit, but again, this is a prototype. This is just kind of guiding our conversation. We're not scoring this or anything. It's just going to help guide the conversation a little bit. So art and layout, we said this already. The PDF looks absolutely incredible. The box, the cards, the miniatures themselves. I think top to bottom, I this is probably more than I expected. I didn't think it would be this cool, and I think it's fucking cool. I think it looks incredible.
Yeah, when I finally got the PDF to work after you compressed it for me, I scrolled down to the cards. I was like, oh, okay, I can see how this is gonna go. Um, like, yeah, I mean, I wrote down basically the same thing you did. This dovetails into the next section, so we don't have to go into it yet. But basically, I was like, not only are the graphics great, but the cards are legible. Like the stuff is like the information on the cards, like boom, 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 no mystery here. It's not overwhelming, I don't think. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with the way the weapons like sat nicely on the player card.
Yeah. I just pulled up the Doomguy card specifically to talk about that. You know, they do a great job of labeling and explaining the card, but like you said, they make the cards usable in the game. It is a board game, but they're not there just to be decoration. It says shotgun, pistol, spot, and they're a size so that you can take your shotgun card and slot it over the thing, so it feels like you're kind of slotting it onto your Doomguy card. And with the bad guys, let me see, does it have a demonic horde card? Yeah, so it brought up the imp card, and that number 2 there, with the pentagram, that's actually where you would put an activation token on the card to say that you've already activated that guy. It's great. And again, it's board gamey. Board games do that stuff, but I love that shit. Like the tactility of it really, really helps my brain. Again, I wish this is the kind of things that the ttrpg space needs to steal from Skirmish and board games and things like that, is these kind of things. You know, it's one reason that Mouse Ritter is so fucking great.
I was just gonna say Mouse Ritter. Yeah, that's why it hits so hard, because it's the tactility of that. Like, because anybody who's not played role-playing games before then has they have an anchor, they have a point of reference. They're like, yeah, I'm not so good at like improvising off the top of my head, but like I know what my character has on them, and I know that I can't pick up any more items because like it's there, it's on my sheet, right? Like and then you have a direct connection into the game, and I think that just, it's simple, it goes a long ways.
It really does. And yeah, even just putting that one activation token on the card feels good. The cards having a back, I think, is really fantastic, because the Doomguy card literally shows the back of the Doomguy.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then the demonic horde cards literally give you like a headshot, which I think is cool as shit. Yeah. So yeah, the cards are great. Visually, it's great. Actually playing with all the pieces and getting on the board, everything felt and looked really good. PDF looks great. Again, I think aside from some communication tweaks for some of the rule stuff, I do think, I mean, everything is super legible. Vibes are through the roof on it and everything like that. But jumping into usability now.
Well, can I say one thing real quick about art
please
and layout?
do. Yeah.
This is my one big critique about art and layout, is the fucking small hexes inside of the big hexes. I don't understand that play, and it tripped us up, and we had to have a whole conversation about it, and we ended up almost like kind of house ruling it at a point. I don't understand why there are smaller hexes inside of the larger hexes that you're supposed to move around, especially one like on the parts of the board that doesn't exist. You have great texture that like denotes what kind of terrain you're on top of, and it brings some like cool visual language to the game. I don't understand why some of them, instead of just being like sand or skulls or concrete, whatever it might be, you know, like a demonic like skin, because they even have like some of the demonic skins are like, you know, pulled into the PDF, like stuff like that would be great on the board, and instead you've kind of got this weird doubled up hex thing that like ends up being confusing. And I don't know if that is a product of the prototype, or if that is something that is a placeholder for like new rules later where you can have smaller units that move within those hexes. I'm not quite sure. That's my one big ding on their art and layout.
I do want to, so the thing is, one thing that tripped us up too, though, is that the examples in the PDF do not look like the actual board. So, for example, I don't know if you have the PDF up, but I'm showing chat here. I'm showing the stream here. On page 17, there is an image that has an example. And it is an example. The image is the map that comes in the prototype.
Right. Yep.
And in the PDF, it's just big hexes. It's just big hexes. So it makes a lot more sense. But what we're saying, what Jonathan is saying that tripped us both up, because we still had to figure out what the fuck was going on, is this. And I'll show it on. See how within every hex there's like another like wall of like 6 hexes inside each of these hexes. So if you're looking right where my finger is, right, the white borders is a hex, and looking at the screen next to me, it's a giant hex. Let me specifically get to the part in the middle. This is basically, I gotta see. This is what's showing, right? But see how there's so many little hexes on the board when there's not a bunch of little hexes in the PDF? The little hexes fucked us up. Where literally I was like, you got to use the little hexes. It says hexes, right? Why would the giant hexes be a thing? Yeah, I will say that those need to go. The PDF version of it looks better. It just looks better without all that shit on it.
I would say if I backed this and got the board game whenever in the future and it had the little hexes on it still, I would be thoroughly confused. I would not understand why the small hexes are still on there. I'm guessing it's a product of it being a prototype. If I'm wrong about that, I would like to know why it is like that.
Why would you put little hexes inside the big hexes and explain to move across hexes? Yeah, I completely agree. That is definitely one of the big critiques that we have about the game in general. Yeah, I think we probably spent... we might have spent more time on that specific thing than just about anything being like, no, it's this. Usability. So I will say, the PDF is fucked. Like it is, first of all, I mean, it's great. It's hyperlinked, which is great. The table of contents is hyperlinked. So for a quick start PDF, always love to see that. And of course, in the final PDF, that would be fantastic. So that does help with a little bit of like the finding stuff. And I'm hoping that there's inline hyperlinks, those parts where it says like, tempos on page X, XX or whatever. I'm hoping you just click XX and it'll take you there. That's my thought. Yeah. They've done everything else, so why wouldn't they? It is also bookmarked, which is great. I'd love to see both. So those are all set up on the side. That's fantastic. But my God, I talked about it a little bit earlier. The PDF that you can download that was sent to us for review purposes, and that you can download directly from the Kickstarter. For context, if anyone's seen the Alien RPG from Free League, it's another pretty beefy. I'll bring it up. It's another pretty beefy PDF. In the context of like, it's not a white background. It's a dark background. Here you go. Boom. It's a dark background. It's got art all over it. It's full of text. It's got crazy shit all over it. I'm scrolling through it right now. You see what's going on. Cool. Very busy, right? It is 400 pages for that PDF. And the file size on that PDF, or a 400-page PDF, is 52 megabytes. It's a decent-sized PDF. It's 400 pages, though. This PDF that you download from the Kickstarter, and again, I assume it is just a product of the prototype, but if it's not, please send a different one out. It is a 29-page PDF. It is 84 megabytes. 84 megabytes. It is 30 megabytes bigger than the 400-page Alien RPG PDF. That is a massive, massive, massive PDF. And if you download it directly and scroll it, I'm not going to because I don't want Acrobat to crash. It like you can scroll down and everything is just white for a while and like one thing at a time, like click, click, clicks. And I have a good computer. Like, and again, even the compressed one was so big. The smallest I could get it is like 17 megabytes, which is big for 30 pages still, which is crazy. But I compressed it. I flattened it. I did everything I could until everything said you can't compress it anymore. It's as compressed as I can get. Got it to 17 megabytes, and it still scrolls pretty slow. If I rip through this a little quick, like you can see there's like a lag to how fast things are going. And I've loaded it so much that it's good now. But if I close it and bring it back up, it takes a while to get going. So I'm hoping that is part of the prototype. But if they send a final, out at 80 plus megabytes, you got to flatten this in the background, guys.
Yeah, it seems like a print ready file was very quickly turned into a PDF because they were like, oh shoot, we're dropping the Kickstarter soon, and we got to like make sure we have the clickable link for the PDF. And I think it's just a product of
what I think. Well, what I think part of it is because I did. If you can see my overlay, I did steal parts of the PDF to build this overlay. Thank you, Modiphius. Every line is its own text box.
Oh.
And in the background here where it's got this kind of like gravelly part, like every little gravel part is its own image. it's like a million layers to make that. Because if I just would select the entire thing to try to delete it, it would just become black. So I'm deleting all of those things. So there's a million fucking layers to these pages, and every text box is an individual text box. Every line.
I'm not even sure how you maintain layers in an exported PDF. And like, I print stuff for a living.
Well, you just don't flatten it, like, you know, because I can in Acrobat I can go to like edit and it'll literally break all of the layers down for me. And yeah, that's what I did.
I guess I'm using like Clip Studio and stuff like that. And I'm not using Adobe programs where I'm like exporting PDFs. I'm doing it through like a non-subscription model. If I have the bootleg stuff because I'm poor, but maybe that's why.
But I would definitely say if this is the one that's going to eventually go out, please flatten it. Please flatten it before you export it. That would be fantastic, because it's 84 megabytes for less than 30 pages is insane and almost unusable. I mean, it was unusable. Like, I literally had to compress and flatten it just so we could use it for the thing. But that's the big beef with usability. Otherwise, I love that a freaking board game quick start PDF is better hyperlinked and better bookmarked than a lot of the ttrpgs we review on screen, you know. I think that's it for usability. Again, we talked about the game itself being
I think this would fall under usability. I'll just say again, the cards are great. The cards and the dice are great. Simple, like, I love a board game that doesn't have too many components. You know, this game is like, it knows what it is. There's just enough in there. It reminds me a lot of Escape from the Dark Castle, where it's like you get proprietary dice, you get proprietary cards that have original illustrations on both of them. You get a rule set and a board, and that's all you need. You know, it's not like some other big games like Gloomhaven or Sleeping Gods, which is like can be fun and maybe people are into it. They want like a 20-pound box. Not for me. And I think that like as soon as I saw the part of the PDF that has the shot of the board and all of its components, I was like, cool, great. Like, yeah, you don't need anything more than that. And any upgrades that they're giving after the fact are just like more of those. They're not trying to throw unnecessary things on there. They're just like giving you the other cool demons that existed in the game. So yeah, I think as far as usability goes, like beyond the fact that the PDF doesn't really work, I think they kind of crush it otherwise.
Yeah, and it kind of bridge usability and rule set a little bit. Sure. The dice, I love the dice, like you said, proprietary dice. Real quick, did you back the Escape the Dark Castle 2e Kickstarter?
No, I didn't, and I'll probably kick myself about it, unless they have like late backing or something like that. But
I'm pretty sure they do. Is it even done? It might not be done yet. Anyway,
let's find out. You keep talking. I'll look.
I went to the hilt on it. Okay, so I love the proprietary dice. So they are here on the screen right now. You get low caliber, medium caliber, high caliber, and BFD, which is like big fucking dice, right? Or big fucking damage. So what I think it's really clever, and maybe other games have done this, and I'm not a huge board game person, so I don't know, but the yellow dice is your low caliber dice. It is all of these are 6-sided dice, but the way they kind of make it work a little bit is on the yellow low caliber dice, there's a 1 bullet, which means 1 damage on 3 of the sides, and the other 3 are blank. So if you roll a blank, that's a miss. And if you roll a bullet, that's 1 damage. No math, no adding, no nothing. Like, it's 1 or nothing. So easy, so usable, and I love that you're not aiming for a number. You know what I mean? There's no like target number you're hitting. It's just if it's blank, you missed, and if it's not blank, you hit. I love that. I think that's clever as hell. And then, so that's 3 blank sides and all 1s. And then on the medium caliber dice, everything is 1s, 2s, or 3s. You get 1 1, 2 2s, and a 3. So that tells you where the balance is on that. And it's got 4 dice covered. So now you advance the amount of damage you can do while also reducing your ability to miss, right? And then with the high dice, you have a 3, a 3, a 4, a 3, and a 2. So 1, 2, 3 3s, and a 4. Again, your balance is, if you hit, you're probably going to get a 3, which is good, but you have an option for a 2 and a 4. And then 5 of the sides are damaged. So only 1 side is a miss. And then in the BFD, it's 4, 5s, and 6s, and you can't miss. Like you're gonna hit with it. But this is your tempo ability on the Doom guy, right? So like this is a big deal. Yeah, this is one you have to spend all 3 tempo to get.
Yeah, and I will brag that I did get to use it while we played.
And you murked the fuck out of one of my guys. Absolutely. I just think that's, again, if other games have used this, good job. I think that's so clever. I think the math works. I think reducing, again, having a hit just be a blank side, and then also advancing the damage while reducing the ability to miss, leveling up each dice from like 3 blank sides to 2 blank sides to 1 blank side to no blank sides. I don't know why. This is the kind of shit that like makes me, that like really gets me. It's like the little kind of just like clever, smart, simple, non-fiddly shit. Yeah. This fucking does it for me. If I had to pick my favorite thing in the entire thing, it's probably these fucking dice and how they work. It tickles me this is like a Q-tip in the ear for me. Like that's what this is, you know? I love it.
Behind the curtain and what makes you tick.
It's great. I love it. Otherwise, rule set, I mean, I think it's really fun. You know, one thing, what I like about it, and it does say, it called itself Heavy Metal Chess, which I you know, I kind of, we'll agree. We'll see. I think why I disagree is, because I think learning chess is not easy. Like, there's a lot of stuff on the board. And then obviously there's like an infinite shit after that, right? This feels like checkers to start more than anything, you know? But to me, I would say this feels like drumming, right? Drumming is not hard. Being a very good drummer is extremely difficult. You know what I mean? I feel like anybody can pick up a stick and probably bang out some notes, but nobody's Neil fucking Peart. Nobody is, you know what I mean? So I feel like this game is like very easy to learn the basics of, but I can see how deep the tactics go. Like even us, by the 4th round, we were like, oh, I totally understand how I would do so many things differently. I love games like that, though, that are really approachable at their base level, but the more you play, the more depth you realize can come from the game. And this game has it for sure.
Yeah, when the strategy starts to come out naturally by playing it, we were like, oh, like the very first thing I did was like rush your guy, and then I got murked into a hole like so easily, and then you scored a boatload of points, and I was like, wow, I'm not going to do that again. But also, I think I said it while we were playing, like that's kind of how it goes when you play a video game. I have some more notes on here about like how this rule set I think does a really good job of like crossing the border between board game and video game. And what to not go on too much of a tangent, following what you said, I think as you learn the strategy as you go is a good way to like introduce like, well, that's how I would have played Doom. It's definitely how I played it the first couple times I played, where I foolishly ran in, didn't know what I was getting myself into, got blasted by a guy, and I was like, okay, well, I can't go around that corner like that again. You know, another thing that I wrote down for rule set is I really like the metric of blood instead of kills as being your way to victory, because that's another way that kind of like you've got this abstracted thing that blurs the line between board game and video game. Because like you said, I think you mentioned it towards the top, like in a video game, or specifically in Doom, the video game, you die over and over again. Like the demons die, they respawn, you die and respawn. And so like the point is not like kill count. The point is like how much blood is shed, right? You know, and I like that this while that might have been more of a narrative thing in the video game, I like that they've quantified that as like the metric for winning in the board game. I think that's kind of a clever thing. I think it's something that could have been like, they really could have picked anything. It could have just been kill count. And instead, I think they picked a cool metric. And I think it's a cool way to bridge between board and video game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a level of like meta here. In not in like meta is like rules go like finding the best meta, but meta in like the like being aware of the media kind of aspect of it. And I think that that's part of it is the Doom guy doesn't die because the Doom guy doesn't die in the video game. You know, we mentioned before too how they kind of mention in the write-up of the game stuff that if it was written in 1993 it'd be totally different, but we're talking about 2025, so you got, you know, 30 years of Doom guy stuff to have the context for a lot of what this is. And I really like that they found that line really, really well of giving you the nostalgia feels, giving you the feel of 1993, but also giving you the feel of like 1993 in 2025 and the video game aspects in the game. Also, man, if you look at page 9, that is the starter map. Can you imagine how our game would have been if we would have used that map instead of the large map?
Right, and that's probably something we should talk about, is that like while we were playing, we ran into a couple of hiccups, and that was on us because we started on the larger map, which is what was given to you in the prototype.
Yeah, it's the only one we had.
Yeah, well, we didn't start with one of the larger demons, one of the non-mindless demons. I don't know if you want to roll into that because that's kind of part of the rule set. That's definitely one of the things that we wrote down, where like you ran into this issue where you had all 3 of your demons were fodder demons, and so they were mindless, and so they could not, with one exception because the lost soul had a little extra move that it could do, but otherwise they couldn't move unless they were able to attack first. And so you kind of got stuck on the edge of the board, and I was really, once I kind of figured that out, I mean, the plays that I made afterwards, like I was kind of just sniping your guys, and then you didn't really stand a chance. That would have been different had you had a non-fodder demon down. And I thought about it a lot after we played, and I think that if you had like a cacodemon or a pinky out, like it would have definitely changed the game quite a bit, because all of a sudden you've got this thing that can stalk me around the map and can corral me into corners where your guys are waiting. And then the game becomes terrifying for the Doom guy, as opposed to like, you know, I kind of felt a little bit invincible towards the end. You know, for better or for worse. And so I think that's a thing that it's sort of on us, you know. I mean, we're just working with what we had. We were figuring out as we go. But I can see how if you start with that smaller map, you're kind of funneled into each other, it would play differently.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things, because one, I didn't realize the Lost Souls movement thing. I didn't read the cards well enough. That before you do anything, you can the guy flies in a straight line. We'll talk about straight line in a second. For 5 spaces. That would have changed also where I put the spawn point too, because I would have put the spawn point where I could move 5 and not end up in dangerous terrain or something.
Right.
So that would have changed some stuff. I mean, but that's why we play tested 1, because once we played it the second time, we would know so much more. But like you said, with this map, if we would have had the small map, or even just folded our map in half and said, fuck it, we'll just use half a map, so much stuff would have been different, even if we did a level thing. But that I also think really plays into the it's on purpose. It's the 3 rounds, best of 3, right? You use a smaller one, the mindless can't really move, but the Doom guys kind of funnel down towards them, so they're gonna get, in order to hit, he's gonna get hit at some point, which is gonna allow people to move around. And then when you upgrade to the ones that can move, why the guys couldn't move is all of your fodder demons have an ability called mindless. They have to attack first before they can move, unless they have special abilities. So on level 1, on the first round, you only get fodder demons, so you can't move. So when we use the large map, you know, Jonathan's Doom guy could literally, like he said, like figure out where I could go, look at what my range was, and just stay out of it. You know, if I wouldn't have knocked you into that pit with those double shotgun shots, and that was only because you moved your max distance towards me, I would have had 0 points. I would have had like 3 points, and you would have had like 20. So the only reason I was even close is because I got lucky and shotgunned you into a pit. But playing it out in my head on the smaller map would have changed things completely. And then if we were to play again, we would just do what they did in most of the videos we watched, which was just start at a round 2. But I wanted to play round 1 because I wanted to see what round 1 played like. So it works, and I really like it. But getting into some other, let's use this time to really pick apart some of the other critiques we had. Like some questions that we wrote down was nowhere in the PDF that says whether the Doom guy loses, or even if the Doom guy loses tempo on death. Our assumption was probably, because why would you keep it? It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't say that you do. And I think that's a clarification that could be made. But I think we were like, it makes no, like, what game would you get to keep the thing that you built up after you died, right? It doesn't make any sense. We already talked about the mindless, can't move. Oh, line of sight. Line of sight was a pain in the ass. And honestly, I think the little hexes really fucked with us for that too. But some of the movement and line of sight stuff, really could use more clarification. Really could use more. See the whole PDF froze for a second.
And now that you mention it, I I'm thinking about how, like, if the line of sight, or rather the attack patterns, I'll say, to speak clearly, if the attack patterns were like clarified and codified in the rules in a way where, because they're kind of insignificant, not insignificant, rather they don't come until page 17, so they're not primary. I think if you had these attack patterns earlier and like more thoroughly explain them, I think then you get to call it heavy metal chess. I think calling it heavy metal checkers makes more sense. I don't know if that was exactly what you were driving at, but for me, it would take it to chess if those attack patterns and move patterns were just more codified and better explained.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that's confusing is I think also the page where they give you example attack patterns is also the same page where they give you an example, a drawn example of targeting in a straight line. And they say you can draw a straight line, but then there's a straight line attack pattern. That's like 5th edition 2-weapon fighting, and like there's 2 options for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like those things need to be separated in people's brains, because we kept being like, well, straight line has to attack in straight line. Does my lost soul only fly in a straight line? Is it a straight line the way the crow flies, or is it a straight line across hexes like a fucking bishop? And well, I think what we ended up pulling out of the PDF, and I think it is correct, and I think it needs to be clarified and changed, is that your attack patterns and movement patterns, because nowhere does it really say movement patterns. If it says move in a straight line, we assumed it follows an attack pattern, so we followed a straight line. But targeting doesn't have to be straight line across hexes. It can be straight line just visually center to center.
Yeah. I think clarification on that would go a long ways.
Yeah. Moving in a straight line, targeting in a straight line, and straight line attack patterns all need to be better explained and separated out a little bit better. That I think is in my opinion, probably the most unclear thing we ran into.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
and I don't want to hurry us along too much. I do have an appointment to get to in about 30 minutes though, so
okay.
I think the other really big thing that we do need to talk about for rule set is a point that I'll let you take, and that's spawn points.
What's the fucking point?
Yeah,
what's the fucking point? First of all, they're in the book, they refer to them as both respawn points and spawn points. In setup they call them respawn points, but in the rest of the book they call them spawn points. That's something that needs to be cleaned up in the PDF. Just obviously keep the same language. But what we figured out is basically you get 1 or 2 spawn points depending on how many demons you have, right? And you stick that spawn point on anywhere on the edge of the map, right? But if you're spawning, like for initial setup, you got 3 demons, you put 1 on the spawn point on the edge of the map and 2 other demons on the edge of the map, wherever.
Yeah.
So what's the point of the spawn point, right? And if you have something, if the spawn point is occupied later and you want to respawn another demon, you just put them on the edge of the map.
Yeah.
It's pointless. It makes no sense. Just come in off the edge of the map. I think, again, taking this from checkers to chess, your suggestion, which I thought about so much after we got rid of it, is what I would do. Put that spawn point where the fuck you want. And even here's this, on your side of the board.
Sure.
Put that spawn point anywhere you want. If you really want to level it up, especially on a bigger board, you could put it on anywhere, right? Yeah. And the difference then is, especially for those fodder demons, now I have the opportunity to have a guy out in space.
Yep.
That changes what you can do. If my guy does die, I could actually make my guy die so that I could spawn behind where you're at, right? And if you don't have an open spawn point, then you still put people on the board. But that spawn point is that option that goes out there. And if you have 2 spawn points out there and you have 4 demons, you can constantly, always have to spawn from a spawn point. But if they're full, you deploy from the edge of the board. The complexity, I just thought the amount of the increased complexity of having your spawn points. Because if you can put the spawn point on the edge of the board, and if you can't use the spawn point, you just come on the edge of the board anyway, it's literally fucking pointless.
It is,
but it is in my opinion, a massive missed opportunity to not be able to just drop those spawn points anywhere. And here's the thing, even if you drop it into dangerous terrain, you would just use the rules for moving out of dangerous terrain, because it could be bad, but if you have a big bad demon and it's a really good spot right there and it happens to be at the edge of the pit or whatever, you'd be like, fuck it, I'll eat two health every time I pop out, but I'll pop out in a great spot. That opportunity to be like, I'll put it on dangerous terrain, I'll put it on difficult terrain, I'll put it wherever I want because I'll take the detriment for the tactics. Dude, the level of complexity, like, it exponentially increases.
And beyond that, not only the placement, but then while you're playing, if you have a good spawn point in the middle of the map that has been causing me problems, and then I start to camp out there, then you have to make the decision of, do you want to respawn there? Where you're like, all of a sudden my strategy has been chokeholded, and it's like, then you have to reconfigure. So like, I don't know if that's something that if I own this game in the future and play, and that rule is still in there, like you can only put the spawn point on the edge of the map, like change it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it would be a massive missed opportunity to miss out on like endless complexity and endless tactics to have a pointless fucking spawn point. I literally wrote in the rules, immediate home rule of placing the spawn token anywhere on your side of the board. Like that, again, if that's not later in the rules, if it's gonna stay that way, the spawn points are literally pointless, and I would play it that way anyway. So that's rule set. Jumping into originality, I mean, it's Doom. It is Doom to a T. As far as like media stuff goes, this definitely goes into like straight simulation on purpose, and I think it's fantastic. We talked about how they really captured the vibe of the game, not only through the visuals, but I think playing the game felt like Doom. Yeah, you know,
I would be curious. One thing I wrote down, and this is like kind of a extra critique, this does, because the game is meant to be like Doom fanfare, you know, but like I'm curious what it would be like to see someone's review of the game who has never played Doom, knows nothing about it, but knows skirmish games. I would love to hear their take on it, because the thing I thought about after we got done playing was like, I wonder how much I liked that because I like Doom, you know, because like I'm biased and there's no real way to separate that, but they're not trying to do that anyways. Like I don't think they're trying to be like, this is completely original from, you know, the Doom series. So that's just the thing I'm curious about. This is not really a critique of the game itself, but like curious.
Well, one thing you mentioned that I also, you know, again, I'm not a super huge board gamer, but I will say this is called a board game, but it feels like a skirmish game, and it uses skirmish language the whole way through. You know, everything about it felt like, you know, playing Necropolis or something. The way that you set up, the way things are called, like you activate your guys, you deploy your guys, you know, all those kind of things. That's all skirmish and wargame language, which obviously that's going to fit in Doom, but calling it a board game, I mean, here's the thing is you could just paint these minis and build terrain. Like you could easily just build terrain for this and play it as a straight up fucking skirmish game, because it's an arena. Like you could just have walls, build out whatever kind of arena you want, color code the sections for, you know, difficult or dangerous, and literally build skirmish maps for this. And I would like, so it's interesting. I like how it really, I mean, it straddles the line, like does a split between skirmish and board game in here. Because to me, again, the language through this whole thing is skirmish language, and I dig it. I like it a lot. So I'm curious how much that came into play with when writing it, is deciding how much of that skirmish language to use, because Modiphius obviously has been putting out a bunch of skirmish games lately. They have a new one coming out, the Paranoia skirmish game. I'm fucking getting that. I don't care. Paranoia is such a random ass ttrpg. Yeah. And Modiphius was also kind enough to send us the Fallout box, which is too deep for us to tackle, you know, on stream with the amount of minis and stuff.
To play it. I'm such a
Fallout we can fan. We can try.
Honestly, but we'll give it a shot.
It's just a lot more minis and stuff. We can look at the book. But anyway, I like that. I think that's some really good, interesting parts of originality. And then vibes is the last thing we're really going to cover. I mean, I think anyone can tell through the fucking roof for us. I mean, I didn't build this whole Doom overlay because I didn't like it. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Can you imagine?
I was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. Like, I only spent hours on this. No, I think it's incredible. Again, like, I was already going to back the game, and now I'm fighting with myself not to just go all in, because not only are the visuals fantastic, I think the gameplay was super fun, and I really want the rest of it because I can feel the depth there. I can feel the tactics there. And one thing I really like, again, is games where you don't need all of that right away. Like being able to do a core intro thing like we did, really simple, I think is really clever for them to go, you have one guy versus three guys that don't really do a whole lot, but you'll learn the game in round one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to round two, you really get to advance and move. I just think that's so clever for games to have that ability to escalate pretty quickly, not only in how you're playing, but in your knowledge of the gameplay. And it made me super excited. And again, I'm probably just going to go all in as soon as we get off the Kickstarter, or as soon as we get off here. But I dig it, and not just because I'm a Doom fan, but because I think this is actually a really fucking fun game, and I do think there's a lot of opportunity here to lean board game or lean skirmish with this. And again, I'm building a fucking Doom arena skirmish map and playing this out like that. So expect to see that at some point in the future. And what's cool too about that is that you can just use the board that comes with it and then just build the terrain over the hexes. But what are your thoughts on the vibes?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna follow suit with you. It's great. It's top tier. I'm curious about what the Dark Ages side is like. I never played Dark Ages. I've heard that it's different. It looks like it's grittier. It looks like it has more to do with melee combat. But for the sake of what we're reviewing for this prototype, like, I don't think it misses at all. Like the dice, excellent. The cards, great. Honestly, like, I know the PDF is fucked as far as file size goes, but everything else about it is wonderful. Like, they keyed in the old illustrations and design, and like, I don't know, I just think that like I'll also say this. I'll say this. I'm not a person that plays a lot of board games, and this is like, if we do want to call this a skirmish game, it's the first like analog skirmish game I've ever played. Like, I've played like, old school stuff like Advanced Wars and Final Fantasy Tactics, which I guess is like in that zone. But like, as far as my first experience playing this, I thought it was great. I loved figuring things out with you, even the stuff that we ran up against that like didn't quite click for us and ended up being kind of like critiques or criticisms of ours. Like, even outside of all those things, or rather, even accounting for all those things, I had a lot of fun, and I could see the vision coming together pretty quickly, where I was like, oh, I can see on a smaller map where I'm getting my ass handed to me and I have to reconfigure, and then like maybe I get a better weapon eventually, and then I think I'm hot shit, but then Ryan has better demons. I'm just like, well, now it's getting scary. So I think it nails it, honestly. And like, you get some really good minifigs with it too, or like you said, what are the flat ones called again?
Standees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great option. I love that you can swap it out and save a little bit of money if that's your thing.
Yeah. Again, biggest critiques that we had were PDF file size, which they can fix. A little bit more communicating some stuff that is a little farther down in the PDF. And then some clarifications, and to wrap those up, just in case anyone from Modiphius actually listens to our tiny little fucking podcast, and here's what we have to say. Does Doom Guy lose tempo on death? You really need to clarify the attack patterns versus straight line targeting versus straight line movement. All of those things need to be clarified just a little bit more, and please have the spawn token be able to put it wherever you want. And I think those are the biggest things that we had. And otherwise, again, even just for the prototype box set, I had so much fucking fun. I want to play again, and I'm probably just gonna go all in on this. I don't even have room for all these fucking minis, but if I double up and have too much, I'll send some to you. But that's kind of I think that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to say about it?
No, I would love to play it again, and I'm also going to back it. Like I said, I love they packed a good amount of stuff in this box. They didn't go over the top. They know what the game is. It is hopefully a trend, like I think that like there was a period of time, maybe like 5-10 years ago, where it was like you had to have a big box full of a ton of things. And that, from my vantage point, and like I'm not maybe quite as like steeped in it as you are, but it kind of seems like it's swinging back the other way a little bit, where people are like, I don't think you need that much stuff. And if this game is part of that trend, then I mean, I think they're ahead of the curve in a good way.
Yeah. I like that they keep unlocking more and more stuff, and I like that you can just play the game kind of as deep as you want with the core game. But man, all like just the more and more stuff they keep adding. I mean, We'll see if it all fits in the box. You know, obviously it's not going to. Those Atlan miniatures are not going to fit in the box. They're fucking statues. But we'll see how it goes. But that's going to be us. I just want to say once again, thank you, Modiphius, for sending the box. Obviously, we're two huge Doom fans. And big board game and skirmish fans as well. So this kind of hits all of it checks all of our boxes. And thanks for coming on and doing this. We need to do more board game stuff. You got to be my board game guy. We got to go over Escape the Dark Castle and some other stuff. But this was really fun.
Let's do it. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Yeah. So I'll put the link to the Kickstarter down in the bottom. Again, it doesn't need our fucking help. It's over 200 grand already. But for any of our listeners out there, again, we're not sponsored. Modiphius sent us a review copy. If I didn't like it, I just wouldn't talk about it. But we like it. So if you do, I guess fucking back it. But we'll see you all later. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.